Hey guys, here I am. I'm just going to show you around the inside of one of these Spitfires. This is the one I'm flying today. I'm not actually sure which model it is. I think it's the second version they sort of made. It has the 8 303 machine guns in the wings. It's got a little red tape they stick over the machine guns just to make sure you come back after shooting at baddies. I'll come into the cockpit now. I've got the canopy open at the moment. You can see sort of out the sides. You see the rest of the squadron or whatever. You definitely don't have this much vision out the sides when you close the canopy. It's sort of, you can move your head a little bit, that's about it. But I just want to show you around some of the controls basically. If I get my head to stand still, first of all you have your throttle, and then you have your mixture lever on the left, and then down beside them you have a propeller pitch lever. I believe that lever is actually meant to line up with the throttle when you set it up, so you can kind of push both forward at once or pull them both back for decelerating, so you don't have to sort of move one with one hand and then, you know, lift your hand off and grab the next handle. You can sort of just hold both. Still on the left hand side we have trim elevator nose up like dial, I guess it is. I guess it's actually just tensioning the control cable up. Turn it one way to trim the nose down, trim it the other way to trim the nose up. Very handy when you start going fast in this plane. The plane starts trying to lift its nose up all the time. It's really, really hard to keep on target or even just fly straight, so you need to trim the nose down quite a bit. And there's a trim rudder left and right. I never use it. I don't know if anyone ever would have, to be honest. Over on this side, controls. First of all, you've got your main control on this side is your chassis up and down, you know, lowering the landing gear. It's obviously in the lowered position at the moment because we're on the ground, and to raise the landing gear it goes up. It's hydraulics. Now if the hydraulics ever fail, they had this, I believe you just pumped it down and it cracked the seal in this. Couldn't honestly tell you what gas it was, CO2 tank, I don't know, but it was basically meant to force the landing gear down. I think it was semi-successful. A lot of guys just ended up belly landing it because these planes had wooden propellers, and snapping the propeller off wasn't a big deal, and then digging a bit of dirt out of a radiator also wasn't a big deal. What else have we got on the side? That's pretty much it over here. In the front, obviously, you've got the control stick. You've got a course gyro setter. There's a little gyro compass down here where you can set your course. And then down here you've got your rudder pedals. I forgot, over here you've got your radiator lever. It's pulled up like a handbrake to close the radiator and pushed down to open the radiator fully. Generally you'd store the plane radiator fully up to stop anything getting in there while the plane's parked, but during flight it was always down, or at least partially down, depending upon how fast and how high you were. I always forget to put that down, and then I get off the runway and my plane overheats. And also up the front you've got your fuel off and on lever. A lot of the sort of this era planes that have a different type of fuel cock, it'd have a sort of main fuel tank and then a reserve, but I think a lot of the early British planes, they just had a sort of a main fuel tank here and then a reserve tank here, and I'm not 100% certain if they've got this right either, because I believe both these gauges always read 0 until you pressed a button, and then they sort of flicked up to where the fuel level was. It's a very random design, not being able to see your fuel gauge at any state. You have to reach down and press a button, but that's what they did. You got your engine water temperature. It's a very important gauge. The two orange ones, nice color coded, are both oil, so oil temperature. This plane will blow up if you have not got the oil temperature to about 50 degrees before taking off. The engine just cracks. And then you've got oil pressure here. It's basically like a up and down gauge. It's very hard to see. Boost pressure, engine manifold pressure. Over here, some of these planes have a boost cutout. I don't think. Oh yeah, there it is. It's got a boost cutout. It basically gives you over boost. It removes the limiter of the boost. It gives you about anywhere between 30 seconds and a minute of shitloads of power, and then your engine blows up, so you've got to remember to turn it off again. I've seen interviews with Spitfire pilots where they said they were 2 too scared to ever press that button, even when there was a German plane on their tail. So it obviously gives a lot of power. And then you got, if I hadn't done it already, engine fuel pressure. RPM gauge, obviously very important as well. You never want it to sit, there's no red line on it, but you probably never want it to sit too high for too long. The German planes had a bit of a red tape there that showed them, don't run it in here for more than 20 seconds when they were sort of boosting away using whatever their boost cutout was on their planes. I think it was called war emergency power. You've got a little ampere gauge up here. I've never even looked at it. I don't know why you'd need to look at it. Other handy gauges, slip indicator tells you if you're sliding left or right. I don't tend to look at that one. It's not super handy. It's okay when you're coming into landing, but mostly it's all visual at the last part of the landing. This is a super handy gauge, a variometer. It shows whether you're in the 0 position there. It shows no climb, no descent. And as the gauge climbs up over here, climbing, and as it goes down, it's descending. That's a steep descent. That's a steep climb up over here. A normal climb from takeoff is sort of up over here, and then that would be in this airplane, like it's not super powerful. 3 to 4 would be unsustainable climb. If you're trying to get up to altitude, you wouldn't be in 3 to 4, you'd be in 2.75 maybe. That way your speed's not dropping, you're sort of climbing but you're not dropping speed. I don't know what that unit is measured in, but thousands of feet per minute it looks like, yeah. I normally look at that when I'm climbing, and then I would just watch my air velocity gauge, which is another very hard gauge I find to read. It rotates right around to 240 miles an hour and then sort of just keeps rotating around. So, you can't really tell where you are, even though obviously you're going really fast if you're doing 280. You're not obviously doing 80 miles an hour by that stage. I use it on landing a lot. And when I'm going to do a hard maneuver, if I'm going to do a hard maneuver, I make sure I'm doing 180 miles an hour, up high. If I'm going to do a turn right over to follow someone, landing, I always make sure I'm, 120 to 140 to maneuver, and then 100 to 80 to 60 to land it. You can land it right down at 60 miles an hour if you've got your flaps down. So it's a very, very big winged aircraft, very big wing. This is the hardest gauge I find to read. It's the altitude gauge, 3 dials, just like a clock, a second, a minute, and an hour hand. I think the hour hand is in 10,000s of feet, the minute hand is in thousands of feet, and the second hand is in hundreds of feet. And so you see one rotate around as you climb, and the other one sort of barely move. But it is kind of okay to read once you know where you are. You can sort of keep glancing back down at it, but it does take a second to read it. Thankfully, this game comes with a little display which tells you, a sort of digital display which tells you what's going on, which I find a little bit quicker. But, you obviously didn't have that. Pneumatic brakes, left and right, sort of shows you your brake pressure. I think this plane you couldn't use left or right brakes. You could only have all brakes or nothing. So I'm not actually sure how they turned them. I think they just used the rudder or got a guy to push them around. It was a very interesting concept. Or maybe they wiggled the rudder and it decreased the brakes to one side or something like that. It had something really weird like that. Undercarriage position, down at the moment because we're on the ground, up when you're in the air. Clock. Over here, if I can just move my head around. Yeah, underneath the gun sight you have the gun sight toggle switch, and then the only other things you've got a couple of light switches in behind the stick, which there's a switch there to turn the cockpit lighting on, and then a couple of dimmers to turn them dim them up and down. So I'm going to unpause the game now, and then we're going to start it. Give me a second. Alright, I'm going to close the canopy because it's bloody loud. Yep, there we are, close. And first step is turn these magnetos on, and then open this radiator up. Got little gauges down here which show me my positions of everything. Turn the fuel on, and then give it a little bit of throttle. shouldn't need to do anything with the mixture, I think. I always just adjust the pitch up a little, and now let's try starting it, see if it goes. Cool. Just going to reduce the pitch back down. I'm going to tell ground control I'm ready to go. And we're basically going to roll to reduce my brakes. Alright, let's get out of here. It's really, really hard to take off. Dip the nose a little bit. I think I just missed the tractor there. In fact, I'm going to look, and I think I went right over the top of that bloody tractor. That was so close. Yeah, they're seriously hard plane to fly. Okay, undercarriage is going up. Undercarriage is up. My gun sight on. Now you can see how that climb gauge is working. Obviously not much of a climb at the moment, but it will get a lot harder. A lot harder to hold your speed. Okay guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this here, and then I'll maybe show you another video of me finally finding the Germans.